Of Scottish bagpipes heralds the Scottish Highland Games, the World Championships of 1998, held not in Scotland, but for the very first time in Oulu, in Finland. Welcome to it. We have an hour's entertainment, and every competitor will be wearing a kilt. That much is mandatory. A word about the roots of the Highland Games from Dr. Douglas Edmunds, president of the IFSA.
The Highland Games started more than 1,000 years ago in the Highlands of Scotland. King Malcolm Cranmore was credited with the first Highland Games, which took place in a town called Brebner. And the idea he had was to find the strongest of his clansmen to be his bodyguards and to find the fleetest of foot to be his messengers. And basically the games grew from that time and became more popular. So each clan chief copied the king and did much the same thing, so the games grew and grew through the clan system. And then the clans came together and tested their strong men against the other people's strong men, and their runners against the other people's runners. So we had the competitions as well between the different clans. So the game.
Well, we've got some 8 events to look at during the course of the next 60 minutes. Among them, putting the light stone, that's the first one up. Around about 7.5 kilograms it weighs. Resembles the modern-day shot put event, but the stone is picked from a local river. And the throw takes place from behind a trig or a toe board. They've got something like 1.6 meters in which to swing around like that. And that's a huge throw from the big man himself, Vierra of the United States. His first put. He is the world champion, has been for the past 2 years, comes from California, and uses that classical turning style. Hellier from New Zealand is next to go. The shot put style right there. And that's a pretty big throw. He's not that happy with it, but it's good enough for second place at the moment.
Alistair Gunn, Scotlandista 4-kertainen lajin maailmanmestari pituutta 170.
Now then, one of the local fellas, local in terms of being Scottish, not that he comes from Finland, but being Scottish, he knows more about this particular game than anybody else. Here he is, Alistair Gunn. This is going to be his second put. Good technique, fast turn. And that swing will put him into third position. Big swing from the Scotsman. The present-day popularity of the Scottish Games, incidentally, credited to Queen Victoria, oddly enough, who developed a love for Scotland, its people, and all things Scottish a century or so ago. And as a result, the Highland Games, which had their origins way back in the mists of time, as we were hearing, were revitalized. Now, pushing once again. Vierra, the United States, his second put. In his second defense of his world title.
Karl Dodge, USA.
Very fast. He's happy.
Joe Quigley, silver medalist in shot put at the Commonwealth Games.
Joe Quigley, as you were hearing, from Australia. His third put.
Yes.
That'll put him up there amongst the leaders. In order to achieve a legal throw, both feet must finish behind the stop board, and the entire throwing movement must be achieved within the box from 1.65 by 2.75 meters. I know you wanted to hear that. Looks like a oversized potato, doesn't it? Weighs a little more than that. 7.5 kilograms. Pat Hellier of New Zealand, his third put. Good again, but doesn't improve his position. Still in second spot.
Nail-biting time until we get the measurements.
They don't actually measure the distances until the event is finished. They each have 3 puts, and then the tape measure comes out. The puts are just marked by the flags that you've seen. But there's the man who even in slow motion looks pretty quick. Vierra, the United States wins the first event at the 1998 Scottish Highland Games. Amongst the events coming up, by the way, throwing the weight for distance, throwing the heavy hammer, and tossing the caber, something not to be missed. But confirmation of the result of that first, putting the light stone, light, 7.5 kilograms, heavy to most of us, Vierra 1, Hellier 2, and Joe Quigley in third spot.
I focus mainly on the events. I do a lot of repetition training, and in the off-season I do a lot of lifting to develop my strength levels and hopefully carries throughout the season.
Brebner is being pushed hard by Ryan.
Okay, we're into event number 2. This is called throwing weight for distance, and the weight is 12.5 kilograms, 27, 28 pounds. Big swing there from Francis Brebner, Scotland's finest. His second throw clinches the fist, and this one puts him into the lead. Brebner, 180 centimeters tall, 140 kilograms in weight. That's pretty average weight-wise. Pretty average size for one of the Highland Games boys, frankly. Next, it's Quigley once again, the Australian. His second throw. He's put on a little weight since a year ago. And there he goes. And as you can see, if you look carefully, under the kilt, they can wear anything they wish. At an event like this, they are allowed to wear something under the kilt, you'll understand. It may be a Scottish tradition not to wear a great deal, but there are television cameras on them. They are aware of that. Good throw from Quigley. Second place for him. Alistair Gunn of Scotland will go next. They'll be looking for something well over 20 meters. Again, the big turn in the circle. And that puts him, what, something like fourth, I would imagine. That's his third throw, his last throw. So he's not going to finish amongst the first three, quite clearly. The lady on the left of your picture there, incidentally, is the Women's Highland Games World Champion. We'll hear from her a little later on. She's busy just now. Measuring out what he has to do. And a big throw from the Dutchman. Wout Zijlstra.
That was ja Wout Zijlstra paransi huomattavasti edestä.
Vierra once again. Ryan Vierra. Look at the speed that he turns at and the distance he gets as a result.
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Well, Ryan Vierra, uskomaton heitto. Unbelievable.
This is why he's world champion. He always manages to get the edge at the end.
That's a huge throw. His third throw, well in the lead with it. I don't think anybody's going to catch him in this event. Throwing 12.5 kilograms for distance. And here comes Brebner for Scotland again. That's very high. Not quite long enough, though. But he's done well in this event. Second position for him. He's looking at it once again. I don't know how well discus throwers would judge that turn in the circle, but it's not very smooth ground, as you can see. That was Vierra's throw. And what it means is he has won this second event and has won the first two back-to-back. So the 1996 and 1997 champion starting in very fine form indeed. Throwing the weight for distance, Vierra won with 26.66 meters, 11 points for that. Brebner from Scotland second, 25.57. And Quigley third, a little way back, a couple of meters back. And Vierra leads overall. Quigley into second spot, and Scotland's Brebner is third. Don't go away. We'll have more in a moment.
When they had the wars of independence with the English, and eventually the English beat the Scottish clans at Culloden in 1745, the English people tried to stop Scottish traditions and to stop the rebellious Scots becoming fervently nationalists. So they stopped all the bagpipes and wearing of the kilt, and many Scots people went overseas at that point to America, Canada and Australia. And it was only when Queen Victoria bought her castle in Brebner again, same as the place where Malcolm Cranmore started the games, that she started the Scottish Games again. And that was around mid-18th century.
Here comes Ryan Vierra. Karl Dodge, please prepare.
We're at the Scottish Highland Games 1998, taking place at Oulu in Finland. In Finland for the first time. The Scottish Games don't always take place in Scotland anymore. They're trying to spread the word around the world. And competitors from America and Iceland and Finland and Australia, New Zealand, Holland, all here. All here to throw the heavy hammer and do as well as they can, as Ryan Vierra from the United States sets the pace. 22 pounds. And that is close to a record. Certainly over 35 meters. Massive, that throw. And Ryan Vierra again asks questions of everybody else. Karl Dodge, another American, will take his throw next. A word about this ancient hammer, by the way. He's not permitted to spin. He has to stand still, as you can see. But he can whirl the hammer around his head as fast as possible, releases it at maximum speed. And what does he do? I tell you what he does. He's thrown himself into second spot. Quite a tricky technique. Karl Dodge from the United States. Scotland's Alistair Gunn will go next. Look at those boots. They've trodden some moorlands, I'm telling you. Good speed, but not such a good distance. Nice applause for Alistair Gunn, but that'll not trouble the leaders. Fourth spot, in fact. That spherical metal ball attached to a wooden handle flies through the air, but not far enough. Well short of 35 meters. Ryan Vierra still in the lead. Third event, he's won the first two. And the other Scot, Francis Brebner. Third overall as we stand after two events, and the crowd tries to lift him. Little finish hand clap, lots of speed again. Big grimace. And it's not bad. It's displaced his countryman for certain. Alistair Gunn falls back a place. Brebner into fourth. "22 pounds of metal flying through the air. Out into the Oulu. In another part of the world, Oulu means wilderness. But I don't know how far out into the wilderness we are here in Finland. There's nowhere that's far from the wilderness in Finland, that's for sure. Here's a man who knows about the wilderness. Comes from Iceland. Saemunsson. His third throw.
Oh, good.
Not so fast in the circle, but plenty of power in the throw, and that puts him up into third spot. The big man from Iceland making his mark. As you can see, there's a big difference between the best and the worst of the throws in this event. Ryan Vierra still up there.
Near the world record, but has not exceeded the world record.
Here he comes again. He was not quite up to world record mark before. Tries again with his third throw, and it's bigger. Ryan Vierra of the United States, world champion and world record holder now with that third throw of the heavy hammer, 10 kilograms, flying more than 36 meters. .94 meters is the distance, and the bagpipes will sound again for Ryan Vierra. Another 11 points for him. Fantastic start. His countryman Dodge in second spot. Saemunsson from Iceland back in third, and the two Scots follow those three home. And overall then, Vierra now with a very, very good lead. Brebner of Scotland up into second, and Quigley in third position. Let's have a word, can we, with Brebner?
Technique is the most important thing. You can get a strong guy, but unless you've got technique, you're not going to throw things far or toss a cable, you know? So a lot of technique involved.
Tossing the caber is what he was talking about, and that is the next event. This really is the speciality, of course, of the Scottish Highland Games. Have to eat a lot of porridge to be able to do this well. And no matter how good people from other parts of the world are at various strength events, when it comes to the caber, the Scots really are quite exceptional. But this is Saemunsson from Iceland with the qualification caber, and that's not bad. 10 o'clock is the score. Pardon, you say? 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock.
Yes, 10 o'clock. What they want to do is try to throw that caber, toss the caber straight. They run up and throw it straight ahead of them. If they throw it absolutely straight, it's at 12 o'clock. And as you can see, there are tapes to measure the kind of angle that's not at 12 o'clock. That's Harry Macdonald of Canada with his qualification caber. That one marked down at 10:30 in the morning, that is.
He also did very well on his first throw, getting a 12:15, which was one of the two best throws in the first run.
Ja Brebner on siis viime vuonna tämän pidänheiton maailmanmestarin, myös maailmanmestarit jaetaan.
Now then, the specialist, Brebner. Scotsman with the Scottish implement, the caber. There he goes. Gets it over nicely. That's with the competition caber as well. 5.75 meters long, that one. The qualification cable is 5.5 meters. So this is tougher, obviously, and a very good toss indeed. Very precise run-up, nice momentum, good balance, and the clock 11:50. So practically perfect. And no wonder he looks elated. Brebner in contention for the top spot in this World Championship of the Scottish Highland Games. Here comes Vierra now, the United States. With the competition caber again. Over it goes. Little past the 12 o'clock position, as you can see. Scored at 12:50. It's nearest to the 12 o'clock spot. Who will win this first day of caber tossing? Seeing in slow motion again the concentration and the rhythm. That's all important. It's not just about strength. Got to get the right rhythm and momentum. Pretty good.
We did 11:50. Very, very close to the 12 o'clock throw. Can he get a perfect one? He's throwing slightly from the right last time.
So Brebner once again.
The second and last throw.
2 throws in the caber. Look at the weight. You can see the way they stagger forward. Got to keep going straight. Find that rhythm again and put it over the top like that. Brebner's second toss at 12.55, they say. 12.55. These cabers can be anything between 12 and 19 feet long, according to how tough it all gets, and will weigh anything from 30 to 120 pounds. 12 o'clock, as we say, is perfect, but anything will score between 9 and 3 o'clock. Just so long as that caber goes forward. When it goes across on its point and continues to go forward and not fall back. Alistair Gunn with the competition caber, the 5.75 meter caber, his second toss, and that one at 1 o'clock. And that pleases him enormously. So on the first day of the caber tossing, it's Brebner from Scotland who wins it. The only one, in fact, to have 2 successful throws. Vierra in second position and Gunn, the other Scotsman, third. So overall, after that event, after 4 events now, Vierra leads Brebner in second spot, and Gunn, the other Scotsman, is up into third. Well, next it's throwing a weight over a bar, and the weight is 25 kilograms. That's more than 50 pounds. And Ryan Vierra is the man we're going to see have a crack at this first of all. They throw it backwards, as you'll see any minute now. Raising the kilt just to give him a little more leverage, and it's 4.75 meters for him. That was his third try. Not one of his best events, in truth, this one. When you're wearing a kilt, there's not a lot of room to get that swing going. He's happy with it. 4.75 meters for Vierra. Next, we're going to see the man from the Netherlands again, Wout Zijlstra, who takes part in the Grand Prix for the world's strongest man. His profession is a meat controller. Controls his own meat very neatly there, 5 meters as well. Apart from the Highland Games, his hobbies are ice skating and tennis. Unlikely combination. Cool as a cucumber. Zijlstra of the Netherlands. First try, 5 meters. Looking good. Yes, it's a long way up. The man from Iceland, Saemunsson. His crack at 5 meters. See, the bar is raised, and he's got it. Well done, sir. Now then, Karl Dodge from the United States. This is his third attempt at 5 meters, successful at 4.75. Up it goes, and it's not enough. The other thing you need for this event is good anticipation and a fast pair of feet if the weight doesn't go over the top, because it hurts if it hits you on the head. 25 kilograms. So it's the end of Dodge in this event as Zijlstra from Holland tries again at 5.28 meters. That's very high. Vierra's already out. Oh, makes it look easy. You can see how he does well in the world's strongest man Grand Prix. 4 times the Dutch champion in the Highland Games. Second in the Dutch strongest man competition 3 times. And doing very nicely in Finland. Wout Zijlstra of the Netherlands. It's back with the man from Iceland, Saemunsson. His first try at 5.28 meters. Yes, sir. Ties with the Dutchman. come, incidentally. Once more. Excellent throw. So what response do we have here? Oh, yes, it's up and over again from Zijlstra to tie him up. Zijlstra comes back at 5.59 meters. And I tell you what, it's a world record. I'll tell you something else. This was not in the competition. He didn't do it during the competition, but he came back, had another crack, ate some more porridge, and that's what happened. 5.59 meters with a 25-kilogram weight over the bar. Zijlstra is very happy. Still to come, the heavy stone, throwing the light hammer, throwing weight for distance. That's bigger weight than we had last time, and tossing the caber once more, but a bigger caber this time. Very tricky indeed. You'll see that on the way before the end of the program. But just looking at the elation there of Zijlstra, thinking it's all worthwhile, the trip to Finland. More from Dr. Douglas Edmunds just now. No, Zijlstra first.
World record, so.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. I trained for it, so it was not a good competition to do that, to break that. It's an old world record. But I was so strong today on the weight for height, so it's a new world record, isn't it? I feel very good now.
Zijlstra in the competition of 5.28, the world record he scored afterwards at 5.59 meters. He tied in this event in the competition with Saemunsson and Quigley in third spot. Vierra still leads, Brebner second, Dodge from the United States up to third. We will hear from Dr. Douglas Edmunds. Go away for just a second. Stay where you are.
Games to be found all around the world. Many, many countries, particularly in America, where you have maybe 150 games in a season. You have many in Canada, Australia, New Zealand. You have them in Russia. You have them in Indonesia. We have them in Iceland. And of course Scotland, where we have maybe over 100 games each season. We have them in Holland. And this is reflected by the athletes that are coming here from 8 different countries. And that is only a small representation of the number of countries that do these games. So we now want to bring the games to Finland. And to start Highland Games in Finland so that the Finnish nation can be part of the family of countries that do the Scottish Games.
I'm not sure that's really the best thing to do, because the Finnish are particularly good at strength events other than the Highland Games, which they're not used to. Bringing them into the family might put them on top of the pile, which wouldn't do the Scots themselves much good. I jest, of course. It's nice to see the Finnish taking part. In fact, we've only got one Finn in this event, and he's not really performing terribly well. Certainly not up amongst the leaders. But as we move into putting the heavy stone, that's Pat Hellier from New Zealand, his first put, and it puts him into the lead on day 2 of the Scottish Highland Games from Oulu in Finland. 10 kilograms this one. 22 pounds or thereabouts. The first of the stones, the light stone we saw earlier on, 7.5 kilograms, plucked from the bottom of the river.
Kolmannella tilalla eilisen päivän jälkeen, ja hän on siis Rajan Vieran maanmies. Kova kilpakumppani, mutta myös erittäin hyvä ystävä.
This is Karl Dodge of the United States. Up there amongst the leaders overall, and climbing the rankings in the Highland Games. This is his first put, and lots of concentration, as you can see. So let's see what he can do. The man from across the Atlantic, big twist, and it's certainly up there, isn't it? Second spot by the looks of it. Just a reminder, they don't measure these throws absolutely accurately until the event is over. All they do is plant a little flag to mark the spot. Still hear the swirl of the bagpipes in the background there. It's all part of the Highland Games, the pipes and the dancing. Not a lot of people know this, but the Scottish regiments used to require Highland dancing as a form of training to develop stamina and agility. Dancing not part of the competition here. But I tell you what, sheaf pitching is. Unfortunately, sheaf pitching doesn't count towards the championship, and therefore we won't be seeing it this evening. What we are seeing here is replay of Joe Quigley, the Australian, his second put, and it's a big one. Big enough to put him into the lead. There it was. And the ladies' world champion marks the spot for us. Shannon Hartnett. So we haven't seen him for a moment or two, but he's still there or thereabouts in the competition. Ryan Vierra from the USA, his second put. Gets all set to hurl this stone weighing 22 pounds or so, 10 kilograms, way into the air, and hopefully, as far as he's concerned, to another victory. The 1996 and 1997 Highland Games champion, Vierra, swings in.
And Ryan Vierra is well up in the
and it's up there.
And alongside Joe Quigley in the lead.
In fact,
very tight between the two.
It's pretty big. We think it's big enough for the lead. See it once more in slow motion. Just keeps his balance. Of course, he's got to have both feet behind the board. Yes, no doubt about it. Vierra takes the lead. 13.38 meters was the distance. Quigley second, 13.35 just behind, and Hellier in third spot. Brebner and Gunn down in fifth and seventh. So overall, Vierra way up in the lead now. Brebner still in second, and third it's Joe Quigley.
Is this the most difficult event in Highland Games?
In my opinion, yes. It's not one that's very easy to pick up. It takes a while to understand the movements of it, to do it well.
What he's referring to is this, throwing the light hammer, one of the trickier events of the games, even for the very best of them. Vierra practicing there, testing the hammer out alongside Saemunsson from Iceland. You couldn't dance with one of these in your hand, could you? Nope, not allowed to remove, remember. Don't throw it now, it'll be in the water. Well, we'll see Vierra shortly, but before all that, we're going to have a look at Harry Macdonald. Now, Harry Macdonald comes not from the Highlands of Scotland, but from Canada. This is his first throw.
Look out! Look out!
And watch out! It's way out of the sector. If you can't beat him, kill him. He almost clobbered Pat Hellier there, one of his competitors, alongside Ilka Kinnunen, the competition promoter, who can still find a smile, a bit of a wry smile, to be true. Oh, has he lost one of his toes as a result of that? He's still smiling. Next then, let's take a look at Vierra. Look at the height on that, way out. Second throw from the American, and good enough to lead by some. Great technique. Terrific torque there on the body. Just manages to stay inside the circle. Leans into the throw, but doesn't stumble forwards across the box. That'll take some beating. Dodge.
Yes, now he's made it. And
that's pretty high too, pretty far as well. Second American, his second throw. And again, watching this back flick of the head, twists and shoots it out into the air, high and long. Second place for Karl Dodge from the United States. Vierra, though, still the man in position. Can the Scottish reply? Let's see what Francis Brebner can do. His second throw. Huge speed before he released it. And it's pretty good. Very good, in fact. Vierra is the only one's gone further than that so far. So Brebner up into second, having a very good competition. Nice technique, good concentration, and the thumb up. So Vierra leads up to his second throw. He's got one left. Let's see if he can throw any further.
The world record at any place in the world.
See the digging in there.
The hammer weighs slightly light, but with all the implements.
Just to lock the feet in position. Tremendous strain on the spine there for as he turns and swings. That's faster than ever.
Yes, what a throw.
Tremendous throw again from Ryan Vierra. Such a great athlete. Big and powerful, but fast as well. 183 centimeters tall, 1.83 meters tall, weighs 128 kilograms. Lighter than some, a little heavier than others. Just the right build for this event, that's for sure. The Icelandic competition fights back. Third throw for Saemunsson. And that's huge as well. Perhaps not as far as Vierra, but certainly going to be up there amongst the leaders. He's enjoying himself. The man from Iceland, Saemundur Saemunsson. In the most technical event in the competition, the light hammer, 7.5 kilograms it weighs, around about 16 pounds, a little more. And as they measure it out, well, what it does is this. Puts Vierra up there first once again. Saemunsson in second spot, 41.49 meters just behind. And Brebner for Scotland in third position, 40.49 meters. Vierra's lead now, well, 58-68, 14 points from Brebner. And Dodge of the United States is still in third spot. We've got more to come.
We're very pleased to come to Finland. You yourself have started off on the right foot because you have the festival at the same time as the games. So this generates the correct atmosphere. And when the athletes are throwing the various implements, we'll have dancing and piping at the same time. So you have the correct atmosphere. And I think already you see some of the Finnish athletes taking a great interest in these events. Because apart from being sport, it's good fun. And you make many friends through this particular sport.
Thank you, Dr. Edmunds. Tänä päivänä saattaa tilanne olla jo toinen, kuten Ryan Vieran heitto äsken osoitti. Ja kaikki näette, missä tuo maailmanennätysmerkki on tuolla.
Yes, he seems to have taken.
We're throwing weight for distance again at the Highland Games, but this time the weight is much bigger. It's 25 kilograms, so the distances will be much smaller. Karl Dodge from the United States, his first throw. Good swing. A lighter man will be thrown off his feet by that weight in his hand. But Dodge is big and strong and stable, and away it goes. 25 kilograms to take the lead. Alistair Gunn, not seen him for a wee while. The Scotsman, his second throw. Swings in. And not good enough, I'm afraid. You can see that the weight really didn't get launched into the air with nearly enough force. Round about 6th spot, I think, for Gunn at this point. Not one of the biggest of the competitors. Only weighs 105 kilograms compared, for example, with his countryman, Francis Brebner's 140 kilograms. Or Vierra's 125, and there goes Vierra. That's better style. His second throw. And looks very good indeed, taking the lead with that. Once again, proving the master of the Highland Games. See the angle of the body as he turns, counterbalancing that huge weight which is swinging round at such speed. Ryan Vierra takes the lead then. 13.41 meters, that throw. Brebner from Scotland once again, his second throw. Good. Yes, sir. That'll work out at something close to 13. And should be good enough for second or third spot, I would think, as he lunges into this. Tremendous power from Brebner. Such a big fella.
Karl Dodge here,
and the man from Canada, with his Scottish ancestors, Harry Macdonald. Not nearly as fast in the turn. Doesn't swing with the same momentum. Consequence, doesn't get quite as much distance as he might, because he is a pretty big fella too. You can see just stumbled a little bit in the turn there. Not as clean a swing as certainly Vierra produced. That was his third throw. 4th spot for Harry Macdonald. And it's beginning to split with rain, as Karl Dodge has his last throw. The American. Oh, doesn't look too clever with that. No, sir. Off balance. Blame it on the rain, Karl. Wouldn't like to be one of the spectators there. If somebody gets their throw wrong, it could be very serious news for somebody. Now the wind beginning to whip up as well. The swirl of the kilt revealing all those undershorts, that is. Vierra takes another one. Brebner once again in second, and it's Dodge in third spot. These three really beginning to dominate this competition. Harry Macdonald, 4th spot for him. But overall, it's the same, Vierra, Brebner, and Dodge, and Vierra just eases that little bit further ahead as the '98 Highland Games moves towards its climax. And that is the second day of tossing the caber. 5.75 meters. And over it goes. Alistair Gunn of Scotland with his qualification caber. Qualification caber on day 2 is 5.75 meters long. Look how he really has to work to steady himself and get running in a straight line before launching it up and over the top. Well, it's still going forward, so he'll progress as a result of that, I think. Vierra then moves in. Oh, very nicely done. Makes it look easy. Not quite at 12 o'clock, but not far off it, just beyond that, 12:30 or so, I suppose. Again, this is the qualification caber. What will happen, the best of the guys who launched the caber successfully here will go on to the 6-meter caber, 120 pounds of it, and do what they can. But I have to tell you, even the best of these guys will find the 6-meter caber a real handful. There's Dr. Edmunds. He's one of the judges looking on as the Iceland looks to be in all sorts of trouble. Looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame for a moment there, the Icelandic competitor, really struggling under the weight of that caber. But obviously he got it successfully, because that's Dr. Edmunds, one of the judges looking from behind. There's another one. Shannon Hartnett looking from up front just to make sure that all is done properly. And in effect giving the toss of a white flag. Wout Zijlstra from the Netherlands, one world record for him today. The weight over the bar. Now, can he get this spruce tree up on its end and over? Come on, move forwards, go! Little hesitation halfway along. Who can blame him? Wow. That was with the 6-meter caber. 15:01 is the judgment. But strictly speaking, is just out of bounds. Who invented this game? I mean, it looks so incredibly difficult. Did they use the caber at Culloden? Zijlstra then of the Netherlands. He's pleased with that. It is a very, very difficult tool to move about. There's no doubt about it. 15:01. Just a reminder, if you've just joined us, 15:01 means, if you look at the face of a clock, 15:01, just past 3 o'clock. What they're trying to do is toss the caber up on its end over the top to the 12 o'clock position. And the one nearest to that position wins the event. But when something is 6 meters long and weighing as much as 120 pounds, then it's very tricky. This is Saemunsson with his effort. Now, he looked to have real trouble with the smaller caber. Here he goes again, rocking from side to side. Well, I wouldn't like to be anywhere near him, but he's off. He's got the momentum. Now then, the big throw. Oh, yes, from nowhere. He's produced something. Didn't look at all impressive to start with, but I believe it's good enough. They're just conferring about it at the moment. What do you think? Oh, I think it's about 8:15, don't you? No, no, surely not. It's got to be at least 9 o'clock. Time for breakfast. Now look at this. There's a man who is never going to make this. Correct? Oh, yes, he is. The grim determination of somebody who lives in Iceland. I suppose you could say anybody who lives in Iceland has to have some kind of determination. Come along now. Go for it. Ha. Arnold Schwarzenegger, eat your heart out. Saemundur Saemunsson, the Icelandic giant, with that competition caber clocking 9:01, 1 minute past 9. If you like, just one more look at something that is good enough to win this event. It is such a difficult competition. A word from Shannon. There are the words from the Highland Games Women's World Champion, Shannon Hartnett, praising the man. Nice to hear. That, meanwhile, is Alistair Gunn, outside the competition, but showing that it can be done even better than Saemunsson demonstrated. Brilliant throw. The best throw of the lot with the biggest caber. Unfortunately, it didn't count in the championship, but he's as pleased as punch. And these games, which are all about having good fun, good company, as well as going for that title. Alistair Gunn of Scotland then wraps it up for us. Big smile from Dr. Douglas Edmunds. Saemunsson, though, won that competition, tossing the caber at 9:01, and Zijlstra was the only other one who managed to score. And that only just by squeaking in at 15:01. But overall, no doubt about the winner, Ryan Vierra, 91.5 points ahead of Brebner and Karl Dodge, the Scotsman and the other American, with Alistair Gunn back in 5th position. So, he's back again. Ryan Vierra from California. Weight for height, 4.75 meters. Weight for distance, 13.41. With the big weight, throwing the hammer.